BMSIT&M warmly welcomes all the participants to the workshop on game development. I'm pretty sure by the end of the session, we would have all learned really cool stuff and something new today. Also, to mention, this session is going to be recorded, so you can go back and watch it from our YouTube channel. So, by any chance, any one of you get exited from the meeting, kindly rejoin. So yeah, and kindly keep your mic on mute so that it doesn't disturb the session. And you can post your queries on the chat box. I think the speaker and we will address it in between. So without any delay, let's just dive into the session. And I now hand over the stage to the moderators, Aditi and Disha. Over to you, girls.
So let me introduce you our speaker and then we'll begin our session. Ishan Vohra is a 19-year-old entrepreneur. He is Microsoft student partner and a game development mentor at International Organization of Software Developers. Currently, he is working on a startup company which helps small businesses and startups to build their applications and websites in India. His skills include programming, light video editing, and game development. He won the first prize in Smart India Hackathon 2020. He was awarded with medals at the national level of India International Innovation Fair 2018 and 17. He was selected in top 30 by Atal Innovation Mission. Some of his projects include earthquake warning app, Master Switch, knock sensor. Right now, he's working on 3 projects which include ConnectV, Nightstar, and Oculi. Thank you so much, sir. I would now like to hand over this session to you.
Okay. Hey everyone. My name is Ishan. I hope you all can see me. Okay. So the projects on my LinkedIn are really old. Those are from my school days. I have been working as the founder and CEO of a web and app development firm. We have provided internship to many students who are looking for first time internships, and we have empowered many businesses who are looking for someone to create their software framework. Okay, so enough about that. I am a game development mentor at International Organization of Software Developers. And part of my job is basically to train and to teach students how to develop various type of games. And in my 2 or 3 year journey, I have been fortunate enough to be able to deliver sessions and workshops like these to accomplish that goal. Okay, so I am assuming you all are familiar with Unreal Engine. If you're not, you can easily Google it. Basically, it's one of the most powerful. Okay, it's the most powerful open source game development engine. Not just game development. You can do architecture work. You can create movies. Basically, the whole concept of uh, virtual movie production is getting mainstream. So you can shoot a whole movie. For example, um, in the movie Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War, the character of Thanos. So basically, Josh Brolin was doing all the actions, and his actions were being converted into real life Thanos character model, and whole animations were being processed using Unreal Engine. So it's a big part of the CGI pipeline in various companies like Disney, ILM, etc. It has been a very big and very successful game development engine because we have seen games like Fortnite, PlayerUnknown Battleground. We have seen uh, so we have seen a lot of games, Unreal Tournament and Hitman, and we have seen a lot of games which are built on UE4. Okay, so first of all, to get started with Unreal Engine 4, we need to download the Epic Games launcher, and I'm going to share my screen with you. Just give me one sec. All right, so I hope my screen is visible.
Yes,
So,
your screen is visible.
okay, so this is what you'll come across when you first start the Epic Games launcher. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to provide a really good development environment. So basically, you can put a game on Epic Games Launcher for free. You can develop your games on Unreal Engine for free, and until your game reaches the gross revenue of $1 million, you don't have to pay a penny to Epic Games. So that's what they're uh, helping developers as well as people who are playing games, people who are making games. They are helping all kinds of communities. So if you go to library, you'll have all your games. You have a bunch of them. Go to Unreal Engine tab and you'll see a lot of resources. You'll see Unreal Engine Fest that happened in July, and it was a virtual event this time, and it was one of the biggest, uh, leap forward when we talk about. So when a version changes in Unreal Engine 4, it's usually a very incremental change. Like there would be a few tweaks here and there, but this time there were a lot of new features. There was a look at Unreal Engine 5 launching next year. I am really looking forward to that. Okay, I am sorry about my voice. I have a bit of a sore throat. So yeah. Okay, so when you go to library, you'll see your projects that you have created. If you don't have any, uh, you won't have this kind of a sort of a pain. If you go down to Vault, you'll see all of the stuff that you have purchased or downloaded from Marketplace. There are a lot of free things out there, and there are a lot of paid things. So, for example, you can buy various assets. Okay, let me just now we need to download the latest version of Unreal Engine. So click on this plus icon and you can see. So currently the latest version is 4.26.0 preview 1. I would not recommend downloading preview versions because preview versions are beta releases, alpha, pre-alpha releases, um, and they are not stable. They won't get you a really good experience. So just download the latest version after the preview one. So in this case, it would be 4.25.1, and when it will be downloaded, it would be a good 11-12 gigabyte download. After that, you will see your engine version here, and you can press launch to launch the Unreal Engine editor. So let me just change my screen. So when you press launch, you will see something like this. Okay, so this is the Unreal Engine project browser. First of all, you okay. Let me just start all over again because you might not have different projects and okay. So this is how it looks like in the beginning. There is the Unreal Engine project browser. You can see select or create new project. So if you click on more, you can see all your projects. If you haven't created a single project yet, it won't show anything here. Let's just select the games category because this is the game development workshop. Press next, and you can see a lot of templates, right? Okay, so okay, I'll just start from the beginning. So when you open Epic Games Launcher, click on this little plus icon, select the latest version after the preview one, and then uh, download that version. Okay, so let me just try open it again. Right, so you'll see this install option here, and you can press install, and it will ask you which directory you want to install it into. Right, so then you press install, and then it will begin the process. You have to begin. I guess you should download 4.25.1 because this is the latest one. The 4.261 is a preview. Don't download that. That's not really a healthy version to download. And after you have downloaded it, so you can track your progress here in the downloads tab. After everything is done, you just click on this launch button and the Unreal Engine editor will be launched. And this is how it would look like. All right. So you can select or create a new project. If you don't have any projects that you have created already, you won't see this pane. You'll only see what project categories that you have available. Let's select game, press next. All right, so we have various templates, and you can read about various templates. You can watch a lot of YouTube videos to see tutorials on what each template actually does. So first of all, we have first person. So first person will only give you a pair of hands and a particular type of gun that is pre-built, and all of the code will be pre-written, such as character movement, shooting the gun. So you have little tennis ball like thing coming out of your gun. You have flying, puzzle, rolling, third person. Third person is like GTA 5, Watch Dogs, God of War type, where you have a different perspective of view through the camera in the game, right? So you have top down, for example, in Clash of Clans, you see everything from above. That is top down perspective. Then you have VR, you have AR, right? And now just select third person. Next. Okay. What's special about this webinar is we are not going to be coding anything. We are just going to be using their visual scripting method, that is blueprint system, which basically allows you to create literally anything without writing a single code. So it's like an advanced version of Scratch, right? You can select your platform, what platform you're targeting. Right? Uh, okay, Unreal Engine provides a lot of pre-built stuff. So, for example, it would provide free particle effects like fire, sparks, smoke, etc. It will provide you various architecture components like pillars, floor, roof, etc. and various things that might come in handy when you're creating something from scratch and you don't have to build anything, from the bottom to top. Select whatever quality that suits your system. So scalable 3D or 2D will give you a bit more extensive, option to control how graphically detailed your game is. Maximum quality will just crank everything up to the top notch. All right, so everything would be perfect in maximum quality. Ray tracing, if you have a graphic cards, please listen to this carefully. If you have a graphic cards of like the NVIDIA released the latest version, so that is 3000 series or a 2000 series GPU, then you can enable this. Performance will vary by a lot with this enabled or disabled. So if you don't know what ray tracing actually means, ray tracing means that you um, are simulating an environment. So basically, what happens in game engines or what happens in 3D engines, for example, you added a light source, right? And it is lighting a scene. You'll have to build your scene every time there is a change in the lighting situation. Okay, if you add two sources, now you'll have to build it again. Now, ray tracing, what it's trying to do is it is going to, in real time, emulate or simulate how light actually works in real life. So it doesn't have to calculate anything. The graphic card or the GPU is actually doing every calculation in real time. So if you're working on something like a really detailed project for a movie where you have detailed characters, this is really good to enhance your process. Right below, you can set your path where your project should be stored and your project name. When you click on create project, this will take a bit. Uh, it will take a while. If you have like a solid state drive, it might run a bit faster. But if you have a hard drive like me, it might take a bit long. So let's just wait. You can ask your questions about Unreal Engine. Why do you think I prefer this over Unity? You can ask these sort of questions. I'm going to answer that question anyway in a couple of minutes. All right, so we have all of our assets. We have, if you go over to the top in the title bar, you can see the name of the project on the right. So my project, you can just hover your mouse over that and you can see the version. You can see the branch. So if you're like contributing to Unreal Engine, right? It's open source. You can contribute it. If you don't like a feature and you think that you can do it better, you can actually contribute to the whole software. And that's a really good thing when you're trying to focus on giving the best value to the community, right? You can see the build configuration. You can see the build date. You can see graphics. So I'm using the DirectX 11 card, so it's showing that, right? This little hat icon is going to show you a tutorial. It will show you the guide. You can click that if you're not familiar with the environment here. This might seem a bit overwhelming, but I'm going to really simplify the whole process. All right. So you have your basic toolbar. You have the file options, uh, edit, window. So if you want to, get rid of the toolbar, you can just select this, and toolbar will just go away. Uh, if you don't want this world outliner here, just select this, and it will go away. All right. So you can go to help. You can go check API reference, documentation. If you're an advanced user, you can actually get a lot out of it. And if you're not, then I'm here. Okay. So here we have various options like save current, source control. If you're using Git, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, or any sort of version control for your project, you can connect that through here. You can select what type of mode that you're working on. You have landscape, foliage, brush editing, mesh paint. More on that later. You can view the content browser, which is in the bottom by default. You can go to marketplace. There is a shortcut to that. Settings. There is a third-party plugin that I have installed. It is called Megascans. So I'll explain this about this in a while, right? So you have blueprints. So you can open a blueprint class by browsing here, or by browsing the content browser. You can build lighting. You can debug your whole scene, because okay. So when you're creating a 2D game, or even an application or a website, you're always working in 2 dimensions, and there is not a lot of math in that situation, right? You have your x coordinate, you have your y coordinate, and you can easily align the two to get the desired results. But in this case, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build a 3D world, and that's why I need a lot of debugging tools. I need like some sort of geometry builder. I need some sort of path builder, level of details, texture streaming, virtual texture. That is a bit advanced, but I think you're getting my point. You can have a launch. So launch is basically, it will build your whole project, and it will build your whole project, and it will present to you like it is the final build. You can test your current level by pressing play. You can select various modes here. So if you select selected viewport, the game will play in the current viewport, right? So if you select new editor, a whole window will be opened, right? Okay, so that is about this menu bar here. Now let's talk about place actors. Unreal Engine has basically a system of helping out the developer as much as possible. So we have various sort of you know stuff that I can directly add into my scene. I don't have to build a blueprint class. I don't have to build a 3D model for that. I can, I can just add a cube if I want, or I can add a cone. I can add a plane, right? You getting the gist of what I'm trying to say? So you have basic, where you can see various type of basic objects that you can use. Uh, you have your specific options here. So if you want to introduce a new source of light, if you're a science student, you might be familiar with various type of lights. So you have rectilinear source, where it is just a line emitting light. You have directional light. Directional light is sort of like the sun, and we have that in our uh, platform right now, in our level right now, in the example map. So you can select the light source in your level, and this is your directional light, right? So you can see the type is directional light. Okay, so it acts like a sun. You have your spotlight. So spotlight is basically, a top down, uh, so basically light emitting. So you can see I'm trying to project light from bottom in a conical fashion on the bottom, right? So you have that. And see, as soon as I changed the lighting situation, I added something. It asked me to build the lighting. That's where ray tracing really helps, but it's really the hardware is really costly at the time, and it's not really worth it in this very moment. It's just the first two generations. Let's see the technology get mature in a while, and maybe I can do a session after 3 years on ray tracing as well. Okay, so point light is basically a point emitting light in every direction. You can change the properties of an object that you've selected. So for example, I have selected the point object, right? I can change its attenuation radius. So that's this virtual circle that you can see, basically describing what area will the light go. Source radius, the intensity. So if you don't want a white light, you can even change the temperature, so like increase it or decrease it. If I decrease it, it gets a bit warm, right? Okay. Now cinematics, you have various type of camera rigs, right? You have your cine camera actor, your big rig rail, your crane. So you have visual effects. So if you're into virtual movie production or even video editing, you might be familiar with post processing, right? Post processing is after I click a photo or after I shoot a video, I am modifying the colors, I am processing the image or processing the video, or in this case, processing my 3D scene to make it as visually appealing and as visually suitable to a large audience, right? That's what post processing means. You have your geometry, so you have your linear stair, spiral stair, curve stair, etc. You have your volumes. uh, we'll discuss that in the later part, right? Okay, so this is place actors. In the bottom we have our content browser. Everything that we import into every, basically piece of content that we are using in Unreal Engine, they can be seen here. You can modify view options. So you can see all the C++ classes if you have. If you don't have C++ classes, or if you don't want to see them, just uncheck this. If you want to see it in columns, you want to see it in a list, right? My favorite is tiles. And I'll just drag it over here. So the whole UI of Unreal Engine is highly customizable. In the world outliner, you can view all the stuff that you have imported in your scene, right? So you're dragging and dropping various sort of things and from your content browser or place actors into your scene, and you can see that those sort of things in the world outliner. You can select them to see them highlighted in your scene. So if I select, let me select walk away or like bump static mesh. So I can see that it has been highlighted. All right. If you have any questions related to the layout of UI4, you can ask me. Okay, I think I can move forward now, right? Okay, so we have our example map and we can press play to see how it actually works. So WASD are movement controls, also arrow keys, right? You can press space to jump, and this has all been developed by a diligent code for us. Okay, now let's talk about various things that actually combines to make a game. First of all, you need an environment. Then you need a concept, right? So first of all, you need a concept. You need like an idea of some sorts uh, on basically what are you trying to build, um, right? So I am working on a horror game, for example, and I am thinking of a story where a person gets trapped in an abandoned asylum and they are faced with really horrible things there. So that's my concept right there. Now, the next thing that is important after concept is environment. So as you can see, it is a pretty bare bone environment, and nobody is going to enjoy playing in this example level. This is just basically showcasing the mechanics of the game, right? So the first order of business is to create a really nice concept on which you're going to build up. Then you're going to create the environment, right? And later down the line, you are going to create gameplay elements. For example, go to third person BP folder, open blueprints subdirectory, and open the third person character blueprint, right? So this is your introduction to the blueprint system. It might seem a bit daunting. It's not. It's really not that hard. This is all just pre-built for us. All right. So you can see various type of movement input, right? So there is an event called move forward, move right, right? So you have all these sort of things. You have touch input. So it created a very generic input based system, input gameplay mechanics, right? So you have your concept, you have your environment ready, you have your gameplay elements ready. Then you if okay, the fourth part is not really necessary, but if you have your if you're really focusing on a story based game, cinematics are really important. And if not cinematics, just make the game more captivating in terms of gameplay. So there is a bit of a bargain. You can bargain between a good gameplay and good cinematics, or excellent gameplay with very less or no cinematics, right? So kind of the way Ghost of Tsushima did, they don't have a lot of cinematics in the game, but the gameplay elements, the fight scenes are really captivating, which really tells the story in itself. And the last part that is important is user interface. And in these sessions, in these two sessions, we are going to use all these five, topics, these five pillars of game development, and we are going to build upon it. All right. So first of all, I need a level. So go to File, New Level, select the default level, and you can see something like this. So it is called Untitled. It has not been saved yet. You just have a flow tile. You have your basic sky and directional lighting. You have your reflection capture, and you have your player. So when you press play, it's basically um, a new sort of initial point that we can build upon. I'm going to delete this floor, okay? And I'm going to go to place actors. I'm going to save my level first. I'm going to call it my map, for example. To press save. So if you go to the directory that you have saved your map, you can double press to open it. Okay. I apologize. There must be some sort of technical issue. All right. So let's continue. Share my screen. You are free to ask questions in between. If you have any problem along the way, along the journey, right? So I have this very basic level, and if I press play after deleting the portal, I'm just going to fall indefinitely. I don't want to do that, so I just pressed escape, and I just exited the new editor window. Awesome. Now let's go to place actors, modes, right? So select modes and select landscape. Okay, now we have some sort of a green mesh covering the whole um, level, basically almost the whole level, right? It's really big. So I'm just going to, so you can use these arrows that you can see here to move around an object. If you want to rotate an object, just select the object and press this, select and rotate objects, or you can press E, and as you can see, the green mesh can be rotated now. If you want to scale an object, you can press R or select this, which says select and scale objects, and you can select the axis where you want it to be scaled. Okay, so X, Y, blue one is Z. All right, so I hope this part is clear. Okay, now it's asking me a bunch of information on the left, and so select create new, and it's asking for a material. So a material is basically information in 3 dimensions that is basically okay, so a material is basically information in 3 dimensions, which is going to define how an object will look in a 3D world. And materials are built out of textures. So there are 2 important key points when it comes to materials and painting stuff in Unreal Engine 4. First is textures. Texture is your 2D information, right? So let me tell you what a game engine really is. A game engine is a software that is taking input of one type, converting it, and then showing it in the 3D world. I hope I'm getting my point across the board. Textures are information that are in 2 dimensions. You'll see it is a PNG or JPG image that nothing you've ever seen, nothing like you've never seen before. And textures are used to build materials, right? So let's first of all, let's skip the part of landscape for 1 second and go to starter content and go to textures, right? You can see a lot of different textures here. Just type in uh, BASALT, right? So basalt rock is a type of material that I can use in my game. How did that material was created? How was that material created? Um, that was created using these 2 textures, right? So if you open it, the underscore D1 would be just something like a painting, right? Information in 2 dimensions. The resolution would be here to 2048 by 2048, sRGB, etc., etc. So you can see that this is just information in 2D space, right? And you can see the normal texture which ends with underscore M, and this basically is defining what areas of that particular material that this texture is built for has high and low points. So you can see that places which have darker shade of purplish or blue are the ones that have like sort of a low height, and the points where the color is light blue, it is going to be higher. So this is going to give a little bit of unevenness on my rock. So I'm using pieces of these two information in two dimension, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a 3D material, as you can see here, right? So it is usually not this much complex. So you have your base color. Base color is simply your texture, which usually ends with underscore D, or your diffuse texture. In various softwares, it is also called albedo. And then you have your roughness. You have your roughness map. You have your normal map. So normal map is describing the heights of various points. Um, you in the roughness map will show what areas of your material is rough, right? So that's that, and that's pretty much it about materials. So we are using two-dimensional information, that is texture, converting into three-dimension, and then using that three-dimensional info, that is our material, into our level, right? Pretty straightforward. So let's go back to landscape. So go to modes, landscape, and you have this option. Make sure you are on this new option. I guess anything else would be not able to, you won't be able to use that. First of all, you need to have a landscape. So new would be selected by default, right? So create new material. Let's just add the rock material that we were talking about. So basalt rock. I am going to reduce the section size by 7x7. I am going to okay, that is pretty much it. This is the level, this is the terrain that I want myself, to be able to work with in Unreal Engine 4. So just press create. Wait around for a second, and there we have it. If you press play, now you can move around your landscape. You have your own terrain, which you can, make mountains of, make lakes. You can have a material where you have more than one element. So in this, we are only using the rock one. You can create a material which uses grass, mud, water. So you can show various uh, points where the land is, muddy, where there are grasslands, or uh, there are puddles of water, right? So go back to the landscape, and you'll see this halo like thing, going wherever you're trying to go. And when you press left mouse button on your terrain now, it just makes a mountain like figure, right? So what is this? This is the sculpting tool. So sculpting tool will allow you to either create crests, you know or troughs. So troughs are basically, depressions. So we now have a big, huge depression here, and sort of like a mining field, right? You can use that. Okay, let me just go back. Or you can create huge mountains. So when you press play now, you can have huge mountains now. So press play. Now you will have various mountains, right? So it's not the sculpt tool that you can use. You can use smooth tool. So smooth tool will basically smooth out the part of the landscape that you move across. You can set the strength of your brush. If you don't want to smooth too much, just decrease the strength, decrease the radius. Uh, you can select your, you know, paint brush shape. So if you're creating something, uneven, select the alpha brush. So what this will do is this will create a really uneven terrain. So I'm just pressing double click and moving my mouse across the terrain. Now if I press play, you can see I have a really uneven terrain. You can use that. Okay, so that is really pretty much in landscape creation and management. You can paint if you have more than one layers. You can paint your terrain. I have told you that. I'll showcase the whole process to you in the next session, where you guys will be more spot on with what is actually going on in Unreal Engine, and we're not uh, completely blind. Okay, so I have my environment set up right here. I can add various props. So go to starter content, go to props, and you can basically create a room, right? So go to architecture. So there is many type of walls. So one says wall underscore door, and the size is 400 times 300. Select that and drag it into your scene. Now you have a wall with a door, shape cut out in your level. Okay, if you think that your mouse is or like you are moving too fast within the level, just decrease your camera speed. So right click will allow you to see in different angles, and WASD keys while holding the right key will help you move in different directions. Okay. All right. So now I have a one wall. I can add more. So I added one more wall, which is 400 times 300. So same size but without the door cutout. Just going to align this uh, with the same. So these are pretty much aligned. I am going to duplicate that. So how do we duplicate stuff in Unreal Engine 4? Select the particular object that you want to duplicate. Keep selecting the Alt key, right? So Alt key, you have to keep it pressed and drag the arrows, right, wherever you want. So if I want uh, to drag it in the Y direction, and if I drag it, I have duplicated that, right? So press Alt and drag it in whatever direction that you want it to be. So I'll just drag it, and then I'm going to press E or select this option right here, which will help me rotate my objects in Unreal Engine 4. I am going to rotate the wall. I am going to place this in the middle, just like that. Okay, so now only two things are left. First is roof, and the second thing is the left side wall, right? How do we, how do we create that? There is a wall underscore window underscore 400 times 300 option. Just drag it across, rotate it in the same manner. All right. So if you're following along, you can ask your questions. What errors that you've been getting? Um, uh, are you getting what I'm trying to explain to all of you? So I'm just going to take a 1 minute pause here so that everyone catches up. And if you think I'm going too fast, okay, you still didn't get the landscape. All right, so it's really not that hard. Just listen carefully. Go to modes. Okay, sure. I can go a bit slow. Okay. So go to modes and select the landscape option. You can either select it manually from here, or there is a shortcut for that. Just left shift and 2. I don't know if it will work right now. Okay, so it worked. So shift key and 2. All right, so you can see I have my landscape, right? If you haven't created a landscape right now, you will see only this green mesh. Okay, जो green color का wireframe दिख रहा है, you will only be able to see this part. All right. Now, if you see on the left side, Unreal Engine 4 is asking me a bunch of questions about what kind of landscape do I want. So first of all, I'm trying to create a new landscape, right? I selected my materials. There are a lot of material in Unreal Engine 4 in the starter content. So if you want like a grassy, so just type in grass. I guess there is a material. So yes, there is a material called m underscore ground underscore grass. You can select that. Select it. You can see the preview here in the spherical object. You can set the location by values, right? So if you have learned basic physics, or if you have any understanding of 3D geometry, or even if you don't, basically 3D world works in 3 coordinates, right? So we have x coordinate, we have y, and we have z. So one is describing the length, one is describing the breadth, and one is describing the height of the 3D object. So I can scale that particular object in a particular direction, x, y, or z. I can rotate it. So for example, I want my landscape to be rotated by 45 degrees, or like, yeah, something crazy, 45. So it will do that, right? If I don't want it to be in like the origin space, so 0 comma 0 comma 0 is basically the center of your world, right? If you don't want it there, you can actually either use your arrow keys, your transformation tools, by clicking here, select and translate object. You can move them around, or what you can do is you can enter the location coordinates manually. So for example, I want 0 comma 0 comma 50. It adjusted accordingly. If I want something like you know 120 comma 0 comma 50, and just shift it in that direction. Now section size is basically the size of a square that you can see here. So there is a highlighted square here. Section size is that. So if I want my section to be 255 by 255 quads, for example, you're creating an open world game, this is what you might be looking for, right? A really big world. Currently, I am just giving you a tutorial. I'm just showcasing the features in Unreal Engine 4. You can just select the most stripped down version of that. So 7 by 7 quads, right? So you can select number of components. So if I increase that, the landscape will increase. And the overall resolution, right? So the last parts are really not that important. Just make sure you keep in mind the material part, the section size part, and the transformation part, because transformation and materials is basically the two things where like around which everything revolves in 3D world. So materials, basically what type of texture, what type of uh, you know the way I want a 3D object to look, material defines that, and transformation, that is location, rotation, and scale of that object will define where it is, what orientation is in is my object, and how much big or small is that. So I hope I was able to get my point across the board. Okay, awesome. So when you complete all of this, just select create. One little shortcut if you're looking for creating a really big ass world, like something like in Watch Dogs 2 or GTA 5, just select fill world. Right, it will literally create one of the biggest, like it will literally crank up the overall resolution to the max, and it will give you a very big landscape. So just press create and it will create that, right? And to pause again so that you could sync that in. Okay, rotation. Um, Let me just try to give you an example. So considering you have created your uh, you know you have created your landscape, just go to basic in place actors and bring in a cube, right? Okay, now by default the transformation tool would be the translation one, like the arrows one, so you can drag across the arrows in whatever direction that you want object to be placed, right? So I want it right here, and you can select the scale option and just increase the size in various particular directions. So x-axis, y-axis, z-axis, right? Now, what if I also want to rotate my object? For example, you're working with a directional light source, right? So let me just try to give you an example. So you have a light source, right? And you just rotate it to 0. So the x rotation would be 0, the y rotation would be 90, and the z rotation would be 0. So basically you can see the arrow is pointing towards upward side. So we all know when earth and sun, the side that is completely opposite, uh, opposite from where the sunlights are coming from sun, there is night, right? Sixth class geography, third class concept, everybody knows that. So basically I'm trying to create that environment, but you can see I can still see some clouds. So just select your sky, and you can see I have selected my sky sphere, and I'm going to refresh material, and now I have a starry sky. I hope I am getting my point across the board. What and why is rotation important? Because I am creating something virtual in 3D world, or even in 2D world, and I need to have an extensive control over the properties of the material, especially transformation tools. So transformation have three parts. I'll explain again. Location, which defines where your object is. Rotation, which basically describes the orientation, just like we saw in this example, the rotation or the orientation of the light source that we are using, the scale, that is the size of the object. It does not really matter in case of the directional light, but it will matter if you're creating a castle. So you can't have a castle, of a very small size, and you have character models bigger that size. That will never work, and people who will play your game will be left befuddled or confused. What have you made? This isn't playable. So scaling is important, rotation is important, and location is important. And anything you to do with 3D development revolves around transformation and materials. I hope that now everyone must have understood the whole concept. Right? I have used, a lot of analogies so that you could understand. So is there any question up till now about duplicating, about transformation, about creating a landscape, about sculpting, various options that you can try? Oh, okay. Also, one neat feature in Unreal Engine 4, if you forget to basically save something, it will auto save that for you. So really awesome. So I'll try to take a minute pause so that everybody get what I was trying to explain. Shall I move on? Okay, I think I'm going to move on. Yes, I'm not getting any queries now. Okay, so we have duplicated successfully. If you forgot what I said during this part, is basically you drag an object from content browser, right? So you have your static meshes. There are two types of meshes or models in Unreal Engine 4. One is static. So static basically is explaining the self-explanatory that it is going to be static. The conditions of it will be same throughout the game. And one is skeletal mesh. So if you see a player, it can move. It has bones. It has a basic skeleton as and physics. When it collides with something or when something comes in front of it, uh, the path gets blocked and he cannot go forward. So real world physics gets applied. So I cannot go past this wall, right? So these are skeletal meshes. Okay, so awesome. Now I need a roof for my little house here, little hut here. So I'm just going to again drag a floor with no windows. My bad. I'm going to drag a wall with no windows, size 400 by 300. Keeping in mind that the house, walls are 400 times 300. So uh, the roof should also have similar, size. So I rotated it by pressing space or by pressing E and moving it into that particular direction. So you can see that I can do that. Okay. Also, now I have a roof over my head. I am going to place it accurately in my scene. Going to scale it, right? Okay, so you will be thinking while working would be that when you scale or move an object, it moves in chunks. So if you want to, disable that snappiness, you can uncheck this. So enables or disables snapping objects to a rotation grid, or same for scaling, same for translation. Translation is moving about. I'm just going to disable that. Okay. So I guess I have created a really cozy house for my player, but it lacks interior as you can see. So I'm going to drag my player start into my level. So player start is basically the starting point of your. You can drag this. If you deleted it by mistake, you can always search it in place actors and drag. Let's play. It doesn't have anything. So what I'm going to do is add a bunch of interior. So first of all, I am going to add a window frame. How do I do that? Just go to props in starter content folder, and you can see there would be a window frame. Let's just search window. Okay, so we have window frame. Target. Awesome. Now my window looks properly made and has a nice look to it. Now let's talk about my door. So I'm just going to search for door. There is a door frame in starter content. Unfortunately, it is not properly rotated. I'm going to rotate this, and I'm going to drag this into proper orientation. Also, I'm going to add a door. So something like this. So I hope it is visible. Let's rotate it towards outside so that it doesn't occupy too much space on the inside. It's already too crammed down. Okay, looks fixed and connected. Okay. Right now it doesn't. So I'm just going to disable snapping. I'm going to connect it. Now it looks connected. Awesome. Now I have a door frame, a door. I have a window frame. I have walls. Right. So, but there are a lot of things that is lacking. First of all, there is no floor. So I'm going to duplicate the roof and drag it down so that we can have a floor. Okay. So I am kind of a guy who likes wooden flooring. So I'm just going to go to starter content. I am going to search for wood, and you can browse various textures or materials. Textures are not useful in 3D scenes. They are only useful when you're trying to create a material. Materials are directly used in 3D scenes, right? So we have walnut. We have walnut underscore worn, so a little bit of oldish look. There is oak. There is pine. So I guess I am going to be going for walnut underscore worn, and it looks really nice, right? I have wooden flooring in my little hut. Now let's talk about the walls. Let's give the back one a bit of a really oldish look. So like bricks. So just type in bricks or brick. So we have a lot of different type of metal. I'm just going to randomly drag something. Wow, it actually looks really good, and it goes with the floor also. Let's give the material to other part of the. We have given different material to the back wall and different material to the other three walls. Okay, now press play. Now we are getting sort of a warning where 73 unbuilt objects are shown in the bracket, and it says lighting needs to be rebuilt. Obviously, because as you can see, we have a roof over our head, but it's still as bright as what it would be outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to build lighting only. So build lighting only. You press that, it will going to build, calculate all the paths of light rays that are being acting in your scenario. So now when you go inside, you can see that it is actually dark because there is no point of light in on the inside. You can see that there is sort of like a light coming in from the window because sun is facing towards there, and you know it looks really realistic in this very moment. So what I'm going to do is add light source. So I'm going to add a spotlight. So in the world outliner, you can just search whatever element that you added. So for example, I'm looking for player start, so I can type in player start and I can find it. World outliner is just a big browser for what's in your scene. Okay, looks really nice. You know, the reflection on the wood flooring is really coming along, and what we can actually do is we can actually change the light color. So I'm going to change it to a little bit of warmer, so like yellowish. Okay. Now when you press play, you can see we have a spotlight. But still, the lighting needs to be rebuilt because we added a new lighting source. I am going to increase the outer cone angle. What outer cone angle is basically the area where the light will go. Inner cone angle is where the intensity will be maximum of the light. Let's just keep that 0. And outer cone angle I can expand. Right? And I'm going to decrease the intensity to keep a subtle atmosphere. So go to build lighting only. Okay, let's wait for a while. I'm going to build a lighting. Awesome. Now when you press play, you can actually see the scene being being lit up on the inside. And it's showing the wall, kind of a prisony look to this hut. That was not what I was going for, but given the limited resources, this actually looks pretty good. And what you can actually do is you can actually add a lot of other things. For example, let's just go a little bit wild. So go to props, and there is an option which is called shelf, right? So it is a shelf, and I'm going to place this on my wall. And I'm going to place something on the this particular shelf. So I have this shelf now. If you're creating a scene where the lighting situation is very limited, like in this, just go to lit and select the view mode as unlit. Now everything will be visible as if no lighting was there, and everything is being lit up, right? So lighting concept is removed from this viewport right now by going to selecting this view mode and selecting unlit. You want to go back to lit, select this. Okay, now I want to add a statue on this. So I'm going to drag this statue from the content browser. I'm going to decrease its size by using the scaling tool by pressing R or selecting this, right? And I'm going to, okay, it's still not in the tool. So into, okay, now we have a statue. It is sort of built like from a glass-like material. What? Let's do something a bit crazy. Let's add lamps to our scene. So rotate this lamp, move it a little bit up, right? So we have a little bit of lamping situation going on, and we are going to light them up on fire. Now, how do we do that? Just go back to starter content, open particles folder. So particles are basically simulations of various things that are seen in the real world, such as fire, smoke, muzzle flash from a gun, ambient dust, the dust that blows around gently when you're in a forest or you're in a grassland, etc. Uh, you have steam, you have spark. So if you double press to open it, you can see the simulation in the left side. And creating a particle is a bit advanced, but there are a lot of free stuff out there that you can use directly. Right, so I'm going to select fire. I'm going to drag this into my lamp here. It's actually really big, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease its size. So you can see there is a fire in my lamp now. And I'm going to duplicate the same thing for the other one. Now I'm going to go to lit, and that's what I'm talking about. When you want to make your scene interesting, make it more visually appealing, right? So go to build lighting only, and let's see what magic our particle effects are doing. How much immersivity they are trying to bring into our scene. It might take a while. Okay, build. If you're using a really high complex data, if you're using really high end graphics or 3D models with a lot of polygons with 8K textures or 4K textures, it might take a while to calculate lighting or like build various things. So have patience. So press play now, and you can see we have fire. It might not have been particularly placed correctly in a scene here, but it looks really, really amazing. And there was also the spotlight, right? So let's just remove the spotlight entirely and see what it does. Let's see. See, play, and wow, this actually looks really, really amazing. And the shelf looks amazing, and go outside. Okay, so that is pretty much it for the level designing part. I am going to now show you how you can import your own 3D models so that you can design your own level, right? So first of all, I want you to take a look at this website, which is called Megascan Library. So it's a company called Quixel, and basically Epic Games acquired it. And this is the good news for all Unreal Engine users. So all Unreal Engine users get their realistic materials for free, no matter you know uh, how much you're downloading, how much you're using their assets. It's always going to be free if you're using Unreal Engine. So that's really awesome because these assets are actually extracted from real world objects. So basically what they do is they, for example, there is this, old Lumia phone here. Let me just open my video. Okay, is it not working? Am I visible? Let's hope I am. So, okay, so we have this little Lumia phone, this old Lumia phone that I have for no reason on my desk. Maybe because I love old technology, and I'm a kind of a person who loves nostalgia. So what they'll do is they'll click high dynamic resolution images, so high resolution images from a DSLR or something like a Red camera. So Red is a company which makes cinematic camera. So they'll click photos from starting from 0 degree to 360 degree, completing a whole circle, and they are going to put it in a software, and that software will build a texture for that image. So if you're trying to create something as realistic as real world objects, you should use the Megascale library by Quixel. So sign in with Epic Games. I'm assuming you all have created your Epic Games account. If you haven't downloaded Unreal Engine 4, that's fine, but at least create an Epic Games account. They give free giveaways of games every month. So every month there will be 2 games free. They are really developer friendly. Their developer tools are really awesome. Plus the community is really welcoming. And at this point, I think I might seem like a fanboy of Epic Games. Anyway, so you go to Megascan Library from the products menu, and you can see there are 3D assets, so 3D models, 3D plans, surfaces, decals. So decals is basically a blood splatter effect, or you want to showcase that there is a puddle, there is raining somewhere, and there is a puddle made after raining for a while. So you can use decals, atlases. Atlases is basically map, imperfections, brushes, etc. So the sky is actually the limit here. So you can see I have a lot of assets available. Or what you can do, if you don't want to use the website is running a bit laggy for you. What you can do is you can download Bridge. So Bridge is a software that runs sort of natively on Windows, and importing to Unreal Engine 4 is really easy from that. Okay, awesome. So I am importing, for example, this texture. What I'm going to do is assuming you have downloaded Bridge. So when you download that, there is a certain amount of steps that you need to follow. I'm going to show them to you. Just let me just open Bridge. Give it a while to load. Okay, now that it is completely loaded, you can see the same thing that we were seeing on the website. Now all you need to do is go to account settings. Okay, probably not that, but there is a setting that you can set up. Okay, let's just go to the material or asset that you want to download. So let's just say you want to download this minecart. Okay, you can view it in various perspectives. So 3D view, um, so you can view around it in 3D. It is for 4 points. They have their own currency, but it doesn't matter because we're using Unreal Engine 4. Everything is already free to us. Go to download settings and select the resolution that you want. I'd recommend going 2K. Download albedo AO, that is optical ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion is basically how background light is going to interact with our textures or with our material here. That is very important. I don't know what fuzz is, so you can check that out. Metalness, basically metalness is glossiness. What how much a thing should be lustrous or sonorous. Oh, not sonorous, lustrous. So shininess. Normal I have explained. So it will define what points in the map texture are high, what is low. Opacity is what parts in what percentage are visible to the user. So for example, there is something like I'm creating a translucent glass. So there would be a point where I cannot see anything completely. And there would be a point where I can see something, right? So that's what opacity does. Roughness, it is explaining specularity. Specularity is how it will interact with light rays directly falling on it. So a very specular object, for example, gold, platinum, silver, uh, their property is to reflect the light rays at the same angle that they were, uh, that they were incident on them. So angle of incidence is always equal to angle of reflection. Regular reflection, uh, 9th, 10th class physics, we're all mostly familiar with this. Uh, so this will basically determine that particular part. So what angle is the light ray is going to reflect, right? That is pretty much it. You can download it. So I have a lot of assets. For example, this weird Japanese statue. Go to export. First of all, you need to download it. All right. So there would be an option called download. It will download all your textures and all that, and always select the level of detail according to. Excuse me. Um, Okay, so always select your level of detail according to the power of your PC. So if you don't have a really high-end card, always select LOD 4 or 5. I have a okayish card and I don't really want to tax my computer really hard. So I just go for level of detail 3. And there are only 4,602 polygons. So why polygons? If you're unfamiliar with this concept, everything in 3D in computers is made of various polygons, even completely spherical objects. The number of polygons on a sphere is going to be very large, and the more polygons on a particular object, the more detailed it is. Right? So download it. When you download it, you will get a Option to export it, always select FBX. FBX is the format that works with Unreal Engine 4. FBX and OBJ, right? So you have OBJ also, but prefer using FBX. That's really easy to use. Go to export settings and select your software. Select where it is actually stored, or sorry, what version that you're using and where it is actually stored, right? So plugins folder should be the path of installation folder, and restart your computer, restart Unreal Engine 4, and you're going to see Mega Scan here, right? So that's the whole process of linking Bridge with Unreal Engine 4, and you have on your hand a lot of realistic assets on the go, ready to be used in UE4. Awesome. Now press export. It is going to export to Unreal Engine. It says exported successfully. I'm going to open, and this is going to take a while. Okay, so it is imported. Press save all or Control Shift S. That is going to save everything. Now it has automatically created your material file, right? And it is going to be using these textures. That's why I prefer using Bridge directly. If you're not using Bridge directly, what you'll have to do is you'll have to create a new material file. So to do that, right click, material, name it statue underscore M or underscore mat. That is the naming convention that we go with. Right, so drag this onto your screen so that you can see the materials as well as your textures. So drag the albedo into your material window, connect the RGB to base color, right? Let me just bring it in real close and zoom it in. So you have base color connected with the albedo, right? So we have next is normal. So normal, drag it and connect the RGB to normal. Now you can see preview the changes here in your left side viewport, right? Now it's time to add some roughness. Add roughness, connect RGB to roughness, and what else is left? Okay, specularity is left. So I'm going to drag this further because there is not much space. I'm going to make a bit space for the last one. And I'm going to drag in specular. I'm going to connect the RGB of specular to the specular, to the one node that says specular. Right? So albedo one got connected with base color. Specular one got connected with specular. Roughness got connected with roughness. And normal got connected with normal. Right? Pretty straightforward. It is just directly asking you to connect the particular nodes. Right? So let's move forward. I have created my material, but how do I apply it to an object? Open that mesh and you can preview it, and you can view your mat by clicking here. So it says element 0. Press this little plus icon and search for yours. So it was a statue underscore M, right? And the material has been applied. Now save it. You want real time performance, select real time. Save it again. Close windows that are of no use. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete this shelf and statue. I'm going to add the Japanese, Japanese one here. I'm going to increase the size of it so that it is clearly visible, much more like a temple. Let's rotate the floor door a little bit more so that we have room to leave. We are not indefinitely trapped in, our house. Now save. Again, it is asking to build the lighting. I'm going to build it. We are going to wait for a second. Okay, now you can see I have built my lighting. Press play, and you can see the cat statue, the Japanese statue in all its glory. The fire elements are lighting the scene, and it actually looks really amazing. You know what? Let's change the scene outside also. So let's go 15, 75, and again, space, skysphere, refresh material, try again, 0, 90, 0, go to skysphere, refresh material, save it, build lighting, wait for a while. Okay, it's done, press play, and now you can actually see how much impact does this fire element is doing. And if you go outside, you won't be able to see a thing because it's really dark. Outside, and the reflection is really looking nice when you see on the floor, right? Okay, now let me add a little bit of fog. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all delete the door frame and door because I cannot get out of this house. Now let me try once. Okay, now literally there is no lighting. You don't want that. Um, so you can change the properties of lighting. You can add visual effects such as post-process volume, or what you can do is add exponential height fog. And let me just reduce the density of the fog. And when you go outside now, you have this foggy material over, right? And this looks actually really good. So let me just explain how big of an impact uh, does a post processing or like a visual effect element actually does. Okay, it's going to take me a while to open that project. If you have any questions, I'm done for this session because that's a lot of information that I have thrown at you actually. So you can take 5 minutes and reflect on what you learned, and you can ask questions to me about anything that I have taught in this session. Okay, I'm going to open my Zen Garden project. So I'm going to be waiting for people to ask questions. Meanwhile, I'm going to load my Zen Garden project. This is something that I posted on LinkedIn not very recently, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Basically, I tried to create a beautiful garden-like environment. Not garden-like, but a wooden temple inside a rainforest, where sort of god rays and all of that thing. And you can actually see that it was really amazing. So there is foggy elements. So you can see there is fog. There is water. So if you go, um, there is like a tap, you know, pouring water into the little stream here. If you go into the temple, it is built by these wooden pillars, bamboo pillars. There is wine on the top of the roof. There is something burning in this vessel here. There is that Japanese uh, statue, and one of the most beautiful things that I really enjoyed creating was the god rays. So you can actually see sunlight being filtered out through canopy, and individual rays of light reaching the camera, right? So this actually can be used for a virtual film where you're filming something in nature. And if you want to look more projects, I guess I have more. Okay, so there is the Spider-Man one. So basically I tried to create a Spider-Man movie using nothing but motion captured animations through an open source library, and Unreal Engine 4. I was using a very limited amount of tools, no actual filmmaking, and I think I was able to do so. Let me just give me one sec. This was really heavy project. My CPU usage is at 100%, as you can see. So yeah, so if you're using something really heavy, make sure you're not taxing your system. So I'm going to open the level as well. It is going to compile all the shaders. So compiling all the shaders means uh, it is going to get the information out of the textures, and it is going to build that world using that 2D information, converting that info. Okay, if you have any questions, you can ask them now. Meanwhile, it is loading. Well, really, no questions. Actually, this is the first time and select build lighting only. So preview is just showcasing your preview lighting. Preview means your most basic, the one that got programmed into your level when you created it. That is called preview. You need to build your lighting so that it could be calculated according to what you have in a scene. So go to build here, and there will be an option called build lighting. Wow, that is very. I don't remember it being so heavy. Even loading task manager is taking 2 or 3 seconds. Does Riot Company use the same engine? I am not sure. If when the game launches, do you see the Unreal Engine logo just like in PUBG? If you do, then yeah, they use UE4. Yes, they have acquired a lot of different companies. I am, you know what, you can actually use Blender. Blender actually works better than your engine. Over the course of 3 or 4 years, they have actually done a really good job streamlining the whole process. So animate something that is and how whether it's like your voice is breaking closely under the generator, maybe then I now is it breaking? Okay, okay. So you can actually go to my YouTube channel. So just type in bit.ly/Ishan Vohra, and it is going to launch my YouTube channel. It has the trailer for my games and the crazy stuff that I try to do using Unreal Engine. So this is the Spider-Man parkour video. Let me just skip. Okay, so you can see it's a bit laggy because the assets are really high quality. You can see I have tried to create like an urban city-like environment, sort of like New York or New York City or New Jersey or whatever. You can see people doing various type of things. Um, you can actually see news being played on various screens, so like giving a more realistic look. So you can create all sorts of things using Unreal Engine 4. That's why so there comes Spider-Man and he does all kinds of stunts after that, reaching his destination. Basically, the whole point of this video is when Spider-Man gets, when Peter Parker gets this like an urgent matter, how does he reach to a particular destination? You can view that on my channel. Uh, if there is any more questions, what we are going to do tomorrow. Okay, so what we are going to do, first of all, let me just get that out of the way. We are going to look, okay, so you can create your own 3D environment. I guess I have showcased you how to go about that. Create your 3D environment using the techniques that I have told you. If you're comfortable, you can use other assets like from Bridge or websites like sketchfab.com. You can use those assets. If you're not comfortable with that right now, you think you can design something good using starter components, starter material, you can use those components. Try to make the best version of the level that you can at this very moment. Tweet it at me, so twitter.com/ishanvohra4, or share that link. Tweet that or share the video or share the screenshots, share the screen recording on the WhatsApp group of this whole webinar series. And what we are going to do tomorrow is we are going to build cinematics. We are going to build stuff like creating an enemy, killing that enemy. So these three things will be covered, and also a little bit of our user interface. So today was like really basics on how to get started with game development. I'm trying not to throw a lot of information at you at once. Why do you prefer Unreal Engine over Unity? Unreal Engine is really flexible. It is really powerful, and what I really like about the software is the amount of customization and 3D power it packs. Right? So that's why Unreal Engine is my choice. It's simply like short answer is it's the most powerful engine. Plus, it is going beyond the horizons of not just game development, literally everything. So there was a series called The Mandalorian, based on Star Wars universe, and the whole thing was shot on Unreal Engine 4 using their virtual production techniques, right? So that's what I love about a company or a software. Unity is just one of those companies that will give a student version free, and then if you want to make money, if you want to go pro, you will have to pay something very high premium, and it's not at par with Unreal Engine.